Good morning, everyone. My name is Perry Scholes. I am the founder and CEO of Corporate Internship Leadership Institute. We want to welcome you to the 10th Institute's webinar series. I am excited to be here this morning with two amazing entrepreneurs and speakers to talk about why you need a mentor. And so just for a minute, I want to talk about a couple things related to Corporate Internship Leadership Institute. So our organization was founded in 2019. We incorporated and also was designated as a 501c3, which means we're a charitable organization. There are two major things that we're doing under our umbrella of the Corporate Internship Leadership Institute. One of them is the Internship Central. And an Internship Central really is dedicated to making sure that it's easier for any college student to find a paid internship. And what we mean by that is we have a job board, and that job board is available for any student to upload their resume. And in addition, there's any organization or company that is looking to hire an intern that is paid, they can also for free upload a job posting on our website called Internship Central. So it's a place where we design for the corporations, companies looking to organize an internship for their company, as well as the interns to come together and find each other in one single place for the New Orleans region. The second thing that we've done is created the 10th Institute. I want to just spend a little more deeper dive on the 10th Institute. The 10th Institute really is about developing a talent pipeline for the region and eventually the state of Louisiana. And we're proposed to do that in three meaningful ways. One, they're all focused on the student while they're in college. So we think about our work in 4 summers and then post-graduation for the alumni. But in the residency is really focused on the first 2 years. So the summer where you receive your letter that you were accepted into a college, and then the second summer after you've completed your freshman year. Those 2 summers we call the freshman and sophomore summers. This residency program is not an internship, but it really is a program dedicated to preparing a student to think about career and begin the evolution of career mindset. And so what we're doing in this program is taking students who apply to this program and are accepted to visit several companies in the region. Those companies will host the 10th Institute and its attendees, and we'll spend the day at those companies learning about job opportunities and careers within those organizations. In addition, we'll be doing personal branding, financial wellness, business etiquette training, all wrapped around, again, getting that student to begin to understand and think about what do I need to do to begin to prepare myself for my professional life after college. And we think it's appropriate to start that early in the college timeframe. So the other piece that we're doing here is the internship. And so internship, we're starting that this summer. Applications are now closed for this program. However, we may do a few special invitations to fill some key internship opportunities. But this is going to be focused on the junior and senior summers. And those junior and senior summer is the final 2 summers of an individual's collegiate career. The internships will be with various companies that are our partners. They'll be for 8 to 12 weeks, depending on the company's criteria. And we're also looking to make sure that it's 2 summers. So we have research that says that intern who has participated in 2 internships typically has a better grasp of the skills and competencies necessary to be effective in that job. They also have more confidence and are prepared to really go and talk to potential employers about their experience. And then in addition, We have individual development plans. So every student who's in our program will have an individual development plan based on competency assessments that we've done using a software called a model called Predictive Index. In addition, we'll have coaches and mentors for each student. The coaches will be focused on teaching skills and concepts. Mentors will be there to help that student navigate through all of the challenges and opportunities that present themselves during our program. And particularly for us, we're dedicated to making sure that because our program in the 10th Institute is focused on students of color, that we have mentors of color to be accommodated and matched with that mentee. In addition, we'll be continuing the work around professional branding, financial wellness, all the things that we think are important to prepare that student for their professional career and success and building wealth, because building wealth is a key component of our mission. And lastly, because we know that our students will be successful, we will have an alumni network, and that alumni network will continue some of the same things that we've been doing for the 4 years during college, which is, again, creating a network, doing professional network training, coaches, mentors, and financial wellness, all around building that person, continuing to build that person into a well-rounded citizen. So these are the tenets of our 10th Institute and what we're working on to build this talent pipeline. So if you're a company or a college student, engage with us so that you can learn more about our programming. And we're all here about, again, developing top level talent to be high productive and successful in our region to leverage all of the economic growth that we know is going to be present here continuing on. So without any further delay, I want to transition us into why should I have a mentor? And so we have two speakers with us today, Jennifer B. Williams and Dr. Jacqueline Miner. And I think Jacqueline Miner may have dropped off the call. She may be having some technical difficulties. So, but I'm confident she's going to be back with us. And so just a few things, each person will talk to you about their experience, but I'll say that I've been working with both of these presenters for the last several months, and I'm really excited to have them here with us this morning. I think it's going to be a great discussion. And so what we're going to do is jump right in and talk to Jennifer Williams. So good morning, Jennifer. Thank you for being here. And why don't you talk to us and why do you think a person should have a mentor?
Absolutely. Thank you, Perry, for inviting me to this panel. So I am Jennifer Williams, and I am the Chief Talent Strategist at Focus Performance Solutions, where we offer talent management services for businesses of all sizes. So I wanted to just share a little bit about mentorship, especially because we're in an age where there's a lot of coaching and mentorship going on. And so first, I want to talk to you a little bit to help you differentiate the two. So a coach or a mentor, the mentorship relationship is a little bit more or less formal, whereas a coach is more of a structured relationship. They're there to kind of help you maximize your resources at a particular time in your life, whereas a mentor can kind of serve as that example. They have their life experience to offer you, and to me, that serves as a wealth of information. And so, I've had a lot of mentors throughout my life. Some of them may not realize that they were my mentors, because you tend to learn through watching the successes and failures from other people. And so, just to kind of give you a little bit of detail, I had mentors coming up through high school. And for the longest, I thought I was going to be a veterinarian because coming from a small town, to be successful, you were either going to be an educator, an attorney, or a doctor. And so those being the three choices that I had, I chose to be that I was going to be in the medical field. Well, when I got off into college, I went down this pre-vet path. When I got out, I did not go to pre-vet school, and I ended up into a space where I was really lost. I didn't necessarily know what I was going to do. I didn't have any mentors and wasn't even thinking about a mentor at that time. But I can tell you that if I had a mentor at that time, just as I had throughout my my high school career, I would have had that shortcut. I would have saved so much time and so much energy that I would have gone a lot further faster. So, why you need a mentor is because even though if you are in a space where you think that you know what you're going to do and you are in the right place at the right time, so many things trip us up in life, and we sometimes don't know what to do. And so when we talk about mentorship, there's so many aspects of life. You have your spiritual walk, you have your life purpose. How much are you growing and expanding? You have your relationships, your connection to the community and how you give back, because that's going to help you leave behind a legacy. You have your dreams and visions of where you want to live. How do you buy a house if you grew up in a small apartment, and have never even seen anyone go through the buying process? Where do you start? Mentors help you with all of that. And so, as I conclude, I want to encourage you all to think about every aspect of your life and where you are and who you are in this moment, and find a mentor, from whether it's spiritual, money and finance, your career, your health and fitness, everything, every aspect of life. You can actually go and Google the wheel of life online, and you can start there. And even if you go to YouTube and find people who are just killing it in that field and are experts, use them as a mentor, an informal mentor where you are taking advice from them and applying it in each of those areas so that you can grow and expand. And the sooner you do that, the further you're going to go and the more experience you're going to have to then serve as a mentor to others. And so that's all I wanted to say, and I wish you all the best in your career.
Always that, make sure you unmute yourself before you talk thing going on. So Dr. Miner is still having some technical difficulties getting back in, and we're trying to assist her with that. But Jennifer, I mean, you talked about different types of mentors. And so we did some research or focus group a while back with some mentees or some former interns. And so one of the things that was really interesting to me was that they did exactly what you talked about, which is uh, breaking down this whole idea of, I've got a mentor who helped me in my professional lane, right?
Mhm,
So then I have a mentor who's the person who I can go to that can help me with girl talk or boy talk,
mhm,
or just in general about life, or money. You talked about buying a house and that whole process of going through that. So you know there are so many aspects of reasons why a person who has some kind of experience can be of value
mhm.
to you. Now, let me just tell you, uh, you know, I love Google. I talk about Googling myself to greatness all the time. But, you know, I think having someone where you can find a lot of information online, it really is a different experience, like
Mhm.
talking, to someone about those big things that come up in your life. And so, um, I wonder, just like you had an experience with someone where you had a big sort of life decision to make that really helped you kind of clarify and understand it better just by having that opportunity to talk to them.
When I think about it, to be honest, no. The mentors that I had that I can actually go back in my mind and say, okay, I had a mentor was when I was in high school, and I just recall that being a time where I was thriving because I had some challenges at home. And so they made the biggest difference for me because it just kept me afloat. It allowed me to still at least reach my goals at that point in my life. And so when I challenge people to get mentors at this stage of my life, it is because I know that even though I've made it this far, I can just tell you that I know that by having had a mentor at these different stages and having a full view of my life all around, that 360 view, I would have been able to achieve more with less with less heartbreak, less time wasted, all of those things. And so I'm able to stand on that because I didn't have mentors at certain areas. But as we get older, you can still find mentors. So now I do have mentors, and I'm actually continue to get more mentors in different areas such as financial management. Working with people that are experts in these fields, I mean, oh my gosh, the things that they can tell you. If you work with somebody and find that is a financial expert, they sit down and they give you all of these different strategies and they'll take that little that you have and make it much. And so that's the difference between you doing it your way and not working, and you working with someone who is a expert in that field. And that's why I was saying that if nothing else, you go and seek out those mentors, seek out those experts to learn from them. Because sometimes, when I was 22 and 23, I wasn't even thinking about this holistically. I was just career oriented, family life. That was what success was in my younger days. But now it's more holistic. So you know that's pretty much it. Just finding those experts in that field and taking their tips. I mean, bathe your mind with all of this knowledge and use it. I mean, YouTube is like a godsend for the younger generation.
Awesome. Well, welcome back, Dr. Miner. Um, look, we have to love technology. So it's great when it works well, and then sometimes it just pops up at the wrong time. So welcome.
Oh, no, thank you. I appreciate your patience. Apparently, they're working in our area, and I lost connection for a minute. So,
Aha.
if for a reason my connection is lost again, I'm running on a hotspot at the moment. So,
Awesome. Well, we're happy to have you here. So
thank you.
why don't you give us background on why you think it's important to have a mentor?
I think it's important to have a mentor because they can actually be there for you to, provide some good life lessons. I have actually had a mentor um, recently, and they were, able to provide me with some strategies or tips and tools on how to manage a situation I had in the workplace. So sometimes when you're deep in the situation, you're not able to step outside of yourself to really take a full glance and really assess like, okay, how should I really approach this? Because you're dealing with more emotion. So having someone who's a mentor you can lean on, you can actually, you know, tap their brain to get some different perspectives on things that you may be dealing with in life.
Awesome. Great. So we skipped over you telling us about your company, but so why don't you sort of talk to us about Minor Consulting and what that's all about, and then we'll circle back to this whole mentor conversation.
Okay, not a problem. I'm Dr. Jacqueline Miner. I am the owner and executive director of Miner Consulting Group. It is a human resources and industrial and organizational consulting firm in New Orleans, Louisiana. So we offer HR solutions to small and mid-sized organizations. where we also offer services in industrial organizational consulting, professional development, and also career coaching. I also have a platform developed specifically for IO psychology students. It is a mentorship platform where we provide mentorship, support, guidance to master's or PhD students that specialize in IO psychology. Because I did find when going through my PhD phase, I needed more support than what the university could offer. So I wanted to develop a platform for IO psychology master's and PhD students so they can tap into, feeling that extra layer of support and mentorship.
Thank you for that. So one thing is, when I think about my experience with mentors and then just periods of time in my life, I want to just kind of, dive into this and sort of clarify. The mentor relationship doesn't have to be formal. I mean, it can be very, someone that you pick up the phone with and have, Jennifer, as you were talking about, like in high school, it's someone who you may go to and just ask questions. They're that person who you feel like speaks truth to the matter, or is, less sort of telling you what to do and more explaining things to you, right? So can you just talk, about those experiences, Dr. Minor? You want to start?
Right. I think it's important for people to understand being a mentor is more developmental in thought, whereas having a coach is more on a performance level. So there are differences between having a mentor and having a coach. So, for me, I have been a career mentor with Capella University and helping those students that come through who may be going through their PhD phase, for instance. I am able to share some valuable tips on, how I, stay structured, dealing with life, dealing with school, being a working adult, having a family. So it is that extra layer of support or frontline. So that way, if they're having a struggle with, a project or something like that, they have a sounding board or someone who can physically listen to them and offer them that level of encouragement to keep going.
Yeah. And would you say that relationship, that's a more formal relationship where the university connects you with that student, or is that student then just reaching out to you on their own?
Well, what happens is the school will initiate the match. And after that, it's up to the mentee to connect with, say, myself, who's the mentor. So the mentee relationship is the one that drives everything. So the mentee is the one that will contact the mentor when they want to meet. So, we set a schedule. I feel like it was important to meet with her at least twice, twice a month or every other week. So the mentor and mentee have the ability to, say, hey, how much support do you want me to provide to you? But the relationship is driven by the mentee.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. So, I know we're doing some work in our program around, making sure that the mentor and the mentee, there is a, tangible relationship, sizable relationship there. And so, one of the things is that relationship is really driven by that mentee. And so that's one of the things about the relationship, that you might be dealing with the person who's your senior, but it's really you going to them, right? Can you just talk about like some of the things that you would say, Jennifer, if you're thinking about like, I'm going to talk about, a mentee. Here's the things you should be doing. What would be 2 or 3 of those things that you would say you as the mentee to manage that relationship? How would you do that?
I would definitely check in as one, even starting off, I would take the time to get to know more about my mentor, understanding what challenges they may have faced, and just to kind of level set the relationship and begin to share experiences, because that's going to start to build a foundation of trust and vulnerability. Because in order for that mentor mentee relationship to be like of high value for the mentee, they need to be vulnerable. They need to be transparent. They shouldn't hold things back. But again, that mentor is going to also participate in setting that foundation. So I would encourage a mentee to reach out to their mentor with whatever issues that they may be having. Also having that self-awareness to help you understand that you are wired a certain way, so that there are certain like cautionaries that you may have. And so you want to, by you knowing those things and your mentor knowing those things, you can spend those time to talk about how to cultivate those areas where you may need help. And even if you have your coach, the mentor is still kind of going to give you that personal life experience example and how they dealt with it and how their methods have been successful. So, one, like I said, reaching out to the mentor. Another is to listen and actually take the advice that the mentor has, even if you may not agree with it 100%. One thing that I've learned from these types of relationships, because like I said, mentor relationship can be formal or less formal. So just in conversations with someone that is older than I am, sometimes we think that we know it all because we use our logic, and our logic tells us we know things. But a person that is more experienced than you can say, oh, well, these are some things you should think about. You should begin with the end in mind. You shouldn't just go down this road blindly. Well, instead of taking offense to what a mentor may be telling you, I would say to just soak it in and listen and marinate on it for a few minutes or hours, even a day. And you will find that if you just take in consideration what they're saying and just extract what you can learn from them and incorporate it into your journey, again, it's going to be a shortcut. It's going to add value to your journey. So those are the two things I can think of off the top of my head.
Yes, Dr. Miner.
Oh, I think she may be
Think
having issues again.
maybe having the
Oh, there she
you
is.
there, Dr.
I'm
Miner?
here.
Yes.
I'm still here. I was saying, Jennifer, those are very good points. And to expound upon that, for me, if you are a mentee, it's important to clarify your expectations to your mentor. What direction are you looking to go? Also, what type of relationship with your mentor are you wanting to establish? Um, is it more so that you want a sounding board, someone that's a role model, or do you want a more in-depth relationship?
Mhm.
So, and also you have to make sure as a mentee that you're going to be committed to the relationship. Because you have to understand that mentors are there and they are providing their time to help you and to help guide you with different things. So definitely want to make sure that you're fully committed before engaging in a mentor-mentee relationship.
Yeah, I would definitely say, that mentor typically is going to be very busy. They're going to be a senior level person who's agreed to give you their time and, demonstrating, respect for if you make an appointment, a mentee should be making the appointment, setting up that appointment and all of that stuff, right? And then the other part is to be there and be prepared, right? To make sure that whether it is listening or whatever, one of the ways to demonstrate that you're listening is to be prepared to take notes, right?
Right.
And have something that demonstrates that if I'm giving you 30 minutes of my time and I'm a senior executive in an organization, you know, especially if you think about it in an attorney fees, you know, my fee is $500 an hour and I'm giving you 30 minutes, that's $250, right?
Oh, right.
So, you know, that mentor is giving you of their time. And so the mentee really does need to be respectful of that. And then, Jennifer, I love the stuff you talk about where taking it in, reflect, and then deciding what to do with it, right?
Mhm.
So one of the things I wanted to come up, and you know, we had it about knowing when, you know, your mentor is good for you, right? So your mentor, you know, just me thinking out loud about it, should not be directing you to do things. They should be really helping to open your mind to and send you on scavenger hunts or send you on places to discover more information, and then helping sort of, you know, like Jennifer, I think you were talking about structuring it in a way so you should be thinking about it and maybe even challenging your thought process about
Mhm.
something. So can you talk about this idea of like, you know, for me, I've had some times where I've gone like, okay, no, my mentor doesn't get what I'm talking about. Like, you know, that happens, right? And so you could have a mentor who's becoming more directive or taking on a role that you're going like, you know, hold on a second, right? And you shouldn't have that expectation for that mentor to direct you or do things for you. Can you just talk about that?
Absolutely. I will say that when we come into a relationship of any kind, having a strong sense of self is vital, because by you knowing who you are, knowing what you want, even if you're just in this moment, 'cause you're going to change over time, but who you are in this moment when you're engaging in that relationship, coming into it with a strong sense of self is going to be vital to, so that when you start to engage with that mentor and they may be more directive in saying, okay, well, you brought this problem to me, and so, or this issue, whatever the concern is, um, this is how you should do it. And say you may not agree. Um, the way that I have always handled this and have coached other people to handle this is you don't necessarily have to push back. You can just respectfully disagree and just say, oh, okay, or I see things this way, or you can challenge it without causing a rift within that relationship. But just respectfully take advice, but then again, choosing what you do with it, that still takes a strong sense of self, because you are very strong in what your goals are, what you want, what's going to work for you, and what may not be for you. But then you also have to challenge yourself and ask yourself, am I not pushing myself to go beyond my comfort zone? Because it if you don't consider all of these things, you could very well be missing out on some advice or an opportunity to kind of break through like a rut. So again, the sense of self is everything. That self-awareness and knowing who you are and being strong in that and building that is going to help you be able to decipher what to take from your mentor relationship and what to leave there. And if it gets to a point where it becomes less of value for you, then at that point, that's a whole nother conversation. But you in life, again, those mentors are come in all shapes and sizes. So you
Mhm.
get to choose. That's the beauty in all this.
Mhm.
You get to choose your mentor. And when they're no longer in alignment with who you are as you grow, then you choose another mentor.
Right.
That's pretty much how I've handled that.
Yeah, and Dr. Miner, like I have sometimes several people that I might talk to just to kind of balance and bounce ideas and get different perspectives, right? So is that another approach that also could be one where you're, you know, getting different inputs about the same sort of goal that you might be working on, or you might have more than just one mentor in that area?
Right. Mentors come in all shapes and sizes, and they're not necessarily maybe in your same career field. But overall, a mentor can provide those general tips from a career perspective. So, mentees should not be discouraged if they're matched with someone that is not in their relevant job scope, because there could be some other or extra nuggets that they can pick up from someone that is in a different field from them.
Yeah, great.
Uh, so that way it expands their perspectives to think outside of their small box, because they're just in this field and they're not thinking that that could intertwine with another field. But the information is still valuable. And having several mentors um, is not a bad thing, because there could be each mentor can provide a different perspective on something, on a different topic.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like having a relationship with your mom compared to your dad. There's certain things that you go to your dad about that you wouldn't go to your mom about.
Mhm.
So if you look at it that way, having more than one mentor may be beneficial to people.
Yeah. So really great discussion. One of the things that, in the 10th Institute that we're being very intentional about, our entire program is focused on students of color, right? And so we've been intentional about making sure that you have a mentor that sort of looks like you ethnically, female mentor for female. We talked about the mentor that's in your same scope of work and career field. So, I can remember the first time that I had, I still have the same person. He's actually involved in this organization. That's how long he's been my mentor. But from the very first time that I connected with this mentor, he was African American, very very senior level in Kraft Foods, the company that I worked for, and I'm telling you that um, that was like really powerful for me, because whenever we were talking about things, um, I felt like he had an extra layer of understanding some of my experiences, because he was an African American male, right? And so can you guys just talk about maybe your experience of when you had a mentor that like looked like you, female, PhD, whatever, and how meaningful is it to sort of have, a mentor who can talk that real talk with you, and, address some of the things that, like in a corporate setting, I know I had experiences where I'm like, that really just happened to me. And, I could go to this person and he could like, yeah, that did happen to you. And let's just talk about how you're going to navigate through it. So, can you talk through that piece?
It's one of those things where, as I said, I had a mentor last year, or someone that I considered that I could go to. So they were also a PhD in IO psychology. So when you're dealing on that level, you have a tendency of not being understood sometimes, because the way our brains are wired, each person's brain is wired differently. So their perception and delivery could be different. So talking to someone that's like you, or in the same field, or have a background in biopsychology or HR, it does help, because it's kind of like, you're going through the fire and they've already been through that same fire. So they can offer some support or relevant examples of how they navigated a similar situation that you have. I think that since the current inauguration, being able to see a African American, Asian, vice president of the United States, who's a female, was a great feat for us.
Mhm.
So that in itself does provide some empowerment or a greater esteem for those persons who may be of a different race, background, or even a gender.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like the struggle is real. And if you have someone who has been in that same struggle,
Yep.
you tend to form greater bonds that way.
Yep. Jennifer?
So my experience with mentors of the same race and just being a woman, um, again, some of it has been informal where I've just had these people in my space and where, for example, I was working with an organization and this particular woman was in a higher position, but when I saw her command the room and just manage the whole manage a conversation with these C-level executives and how they were responding to her. Really, that was a moment for me that was so inspirational because it started to just knock down all of these limited beliefs that I once had. Because coming from a corporate structure where I was just an employee and I just had a role, I had this moment of time where I was trying to go up within an organization and I kept experiencing this thing where they wanted to kind of just keep me in a box and not promote me and all of these things, and that just turned out to be this really bad experience. And I started to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to leave because this place is not letting me grow and all of these different, it was just crazy. It was a bad time. And so when I went from place to place, I always kind of had in my mind that, oh, you can only go so far, within my role until I saw someone that was within my industry, in talent development that was higher up, that was commanding the room, and she was so sharp. And from that moment on, my mind was expanded because I knew that there was a place beyond what I had seen before, and it just completely reshaped my mind and what I believe was possible for me and actually inspires me to this day to command every room and whatever challenge that I'm faced with to just keep going because I know that I'm capable. So that's been my experience.
Well, great. So this has been a lot of fun. I've taken a bunch of notes. I hope this has been, informative for any sort of college student who's out there. I would say to you that, we're being intentional within the 10th Institute about mentoring and making sure that's a key component of our program and giving our students sort of the support infrastructure that they need, because we think that there's so many decisions that you're going through at this stage of your life that, having a mentor and having someone that you can reach out to for these various conversations to get input. And then I think that we understand how critical that is and how those connections can really increase the speed of which you will grow and develop. Because I would say to you, what's been consistent with Dr. Miner and Jennifer is that the mentor has helped us figure things out that we might have otherwise taken longer or missed key components or just really goofed it up and would have spent time down the wrong lane, a period of time down the wrong lane, and then, would have to reboot. And trust me, we could talk about this as another webinar, but mistakes, if you look at them appropriately, are very, very educational. However, if you really listen, you can learn from others' mistakes, right? And learn from things that they were challenged with, and just be engaged and present when other professionals are talking to you about their experience. And so this has been really fun. I want to thank Dr. Miner and Jennifer. Thank you both for being here. I know you're both busy with your consulting practices and all the work that you're doing. It's been fabulous working with you on building the 10th Institute into this world-class organization. And so we really do appreciate you being here with us this morning. And thank you to everybody who, yep, thank you for checking in. And
You're welcome.
see you all another time.